Hello, everyone, and welcome to Trivial Warfare. We are the podcast that takes the pub quiz out of the pub and brings it home to you. And you are hearing my voice instead of Jonathan's because this is the Pride episode, y'all. Yay, Pride! So, we're going to have a fun time today. I've got 4 wonderful guests here with me. I'm here today with David Livasy, Liz Thaler, Shaun Klein, and Fred Vaughn. Say hi, everyone.
Hello.
Howdy.
Hello.
So let's get to know you guys a little bit better. I would like you to tell me where you are, what you do, what your pronouns are, and something fun about yourself. Fred, we'll start with you.
Okay, Fred Vaughn, he, his. I live in Mineral Point, Wisconsin, southwest part of the state. Work for a rural internet provider. On their help desk, they're basically the point person when things go wrong. And I did not think I was work from home material until I was kind of forced to do it, and I'm realizing, wow, working in a t-shirt is nice.
I don't think I've worn anything other than leggings and a t-shirt since March.
I've finally embraced jumpsuits.
Yeah.
I went the first 5 days without a belt.
Yeah.
I was just like, okay.
This is what we're doing. All right, Shaun.
Hi, I'm Shaun Klein. I'm in Howell, Michigan. My pronouns are she, her, and this is my second time on this show, and you'd think I would have come up with something to say for the something fun about yourself part.
God, you can tell me what color lipstick you're wearing, because that looks really nice.
I would have to go look. I don't remember.
No problem.
But thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Liz.
Hi, I'm Liz. Pronouns are she or they. Both apply equally. I'm here in Brooklyn. You might know from previous bonus episodes, I'm a hardcore theater person and also an office manager. And I guess fun thing about me is while I've been sheltering in place, I have been tricking out the roof of my Brooklyn apartment building with, like, my neighbors built a picnic table, and I got some umbrellas and some outdoor carpeting and a comfy chair, and so we've created an oasis. So after this, it's beach day up on the roof. I'm going to play some beach sounds, drink some wine, read some queer sci-fi,
That's awesome.
live my best life possible
sounds like a great afternoon.
at the moment.
I'm telling you. And last but certainly not least in my heart, David.
David Livasy, Austin, Texas. Pronouns are he, his, but I'll also go by general. If you call me that, that's cool. I am an engineer for an oil company. And a fun fact is that I run a LGBTQ plus tennis tournament that does charity work, where all the proceeds for the tournament goes towards something that we have in Austin called Out Youth, which helps kids who are on LGBTQ plus or allies who don't have a safe space to be and express themselves. So
that's awesome. I love that. Well, as I said, it is the Pride episode, so it is June. We are celebrating all things LGBTQIA plus and the people who helped get where we are today. So the LGBT movement was spearheaded by Black trans women. So we salute them. We honor them. There may be some political discussion. That's what happens when you stick 5 queer people in a room. Just be prepared for that, because unfortunately our very existence has been politicized, and it gets compounded when you add things like race or gender expression and identity. So it's part of our lives. It's part of everyone's lives. So, it's going to happen. So I'm giving you fair warning now, but we are here to have a really good time, and we are going to start off with a Warm It Up, Chris.
It's time to warm it up on Trivial Warfare today, and there's only one person who can warm it up for the TWA, and that's Chris, and sometimes Jonathan.
Obviously, I am not Chris, but I will be standing in for him today, and I have a list of video game franchises with LGBTQ plus representation.
Oh, Lord.
So I would like for you to name me a franchise on my little list here. So we are going to start with David.
BioShock.
Oh, my God.
BioShock is on my list. Sandra Cohen. Liz.
Well, for most of 2020, I've been lesing it all over Greece as Cassandra in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So I'm going to say Assassin's Creed.
Absolutely, Assassin's Creed. Shaun.
I'm going to start with Celeste.
Is that the name of the game?
I believe it is.
Let's
it's
see
a
here.
standalone. It's not a franchise, but...
Yep. Madeline in the game Celeste. Fred.
Oh boy. And the non-gamer has to come last. Seriously, this is gonna.
It helps I'm now
fun.
blanking.
This is fun, and all I can say is Legend of Zelda.
Well, let's find out. There could be some representation that I don't know about. No, Zelda's not on my list, unfortunately. Though there is some fan fiction that you might want to check out. David, back to you.
Mass Effect.
Oh, absolutely. Mass Effect, one of my favorite game series of all time. Liz.
I mean, this is a guess because I haven't played any of these games in 20 years, but I'm hoping there's some LGBT representation in The Sims.
Yes, because in general, you can play your character however you want. So
Right.
they all have the potential to be whatever they want to be. Shaun.
This is a series I have not played myself, so I could be wrong here, but I'm going to go with Dragon Age.
Absolutely, Dragon Age, one of my other favorite series. I'm a BioWare person in general. All right.
Geek.
Fred, we're back to you.
Oh boy, here we go. Trying to think, and it's going to go badly. Heard about some very minorness in somewhere in the Grand Theft Auto universe. That's really all I got.
Grand Theft Auto does have representation in quite a few of theirs, but probably most notably the character Gay Tony is, as the name is, just gay.
But of course!
David.
Skyrim.
Yes, absolutely. Again, you can make your playable character be whatever you want. So yes, that would include some LGBT representation. Liz.
If this were for points, there's a loophole one I would argue for a franchise I really don't want to talk about right now, but since it's not, I won't. I'm just blanking on games I've ever played in my life. Does Second Life count?
I don't know if it's on here, but we'll find out. Not on the list.
That's fine. I'll take the L on that one.
Though there is an argument to say that you.
I don't think it's a game exactly.
Yeah, it's
No.
But it's a weird thing. All right, Shaun.
Mario Brothers. Birdo is canonically trans.
That is correct. And so is Vivian from the 1,000-Year Door.
I forgot about Vivian, yes.
With all the Paper Mario hype going on right now. But yes, you are correct. Birdo is canonically a trans woman.
Okay.
Fred.
Well, all I've got is Resident Evil.
Resident Evil, all right. I believe you are correct. Yes.
I mean, if it wasn't canonical, it would still be in my heart.
Right.
Canon for sure.
Probably in lots of people's
but canonically,
Resident Evil 2, like, come on.
Yeah, canonically, Alfred Ashford and Morpheus Duvall are queer. We're gonna go one more time around. David.
The Bully franchise.
Bully.
If you give them flowers, you can kiss them.
Jimmy Hopkins is considered bisexual. That is correct. Liz.
Dark Souls?
Dark Souls not on the list.
Well,
Shaun.
They should gay that up.
Yeah, we probably should.
Let's go for BattleTech.
Yes. In BattleTech, that would be your player character, but you can also be non-binary, so you can choose they, them pronouns. So that's good for non-binary players. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that. That's a good one. All right, Fred, you got to give me one more.
Oh, dear. I'm trying to remember the name of the game, and I'm just blanking, and that's so bad. Because I know there was a Simpsons game at one point, and I doubt it's on the list, but that's what I got.
Right. There are some canonically gay characters in Simpsons, but their games are not on the list.
Okay.
So that is unfortunate, but you guys did very, very well. The list on here is actually very long. Some franchises that weren't named were Baldur's Gate, Borderlands, Darkstalkers, Marvel vs. Capcom, Divinity, Fable. Fable's another one. The Fallout series, Final Fantasy.
I almost guessed Fallout, but Fallout Shelter is so aggressively cis hetero that
Yeah, I stopped
I've only
playing
played
that a while
Fallout
ago.
I started
Fire
again
Emblem.
because of, it feels post-apocalyptic right now. But
No, I definitely understand.
No joke.
The Last of Us is another one. Legend of Korra, Life is Strange.
oh my God, how did I not say Life is Strange?
Yeah, I was actually kind of wondering why you weren't saying that one. Saints Row, Metal Gear, Shadow Hearts, South Park, Star Wars, The Old Republic, Summon Night, Ultima, the Valkyria Chronicles, and The Walking Dead are some other franchises with that representation. But that is your Warm It Up, Chris. And I think you guys did really, really well, especially for some of you not being gamers.
For the record, I played Sid Meier's Pirates about 1,000 times, just pretending that I was actually a woman disguised as a man, and all the governor's daughters I was seducing were lesbians. So, not canon, but...
Okay. And when I played SimCity, the city was always named Love Shack.
I love it.
Players. Oh, yeah. Y'all know what time it is. This is Mr. Literature himself, cordially inviting you to the game. This is 6 rounds of trivia goodness. 3 questions per round. Every right answer gets you 10 points. In the middle, we'll take a pause for the cause and ask a midpoint question worth up to 20 juicy points. After round 6, you can wager any or all those points you've been building up and take a shot at the final round. It's a series of theme-based questions we call the Gauntlet. It's just that easy, baby. But this game ain't gonna play itself, players. Let's get it on.
Today's game is going to be David and Liz versus Shaun and Fred. I am your host, so let's get started with round 1. Your first category is Ain't No Glory in the West. What country musician who released his debut album Pony in 2019 is known for wearing a fringed mask in public and has never shown his face?
We're locked in.
So, Shaun and Fred, you can talk it out.
Pop music is not my strong suit, so this might have to be all you. I may recognize the name when you say it, but...
Yikes. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. It's like, it's somebody I know of, but I know they exist.
Well, that's a good start.
Mm-hmm.
You just put Troy somebody in our private chat, and that sounds vaguely familiar, but not familiar enough that I can get anywhere else from it.
Okay, okay, I guess we're locked in.
All right, what are you locked in with?
I said Ty Harden.
Okay. It's a good name. I like the name. All right, David and Liz.
This was all David.
All right.
Actually, I knew this, but also just shout out to Katie Sikelski's Inkling. This was a question I think she also had last year in one of the visual rounds, but it is Orville Peck.
Ain't No Glory in the West is his most recent single, released just a couple weeks ago, and this is Orville Peck.
Mm-hmm.
That is a name I've heard.
Yeah, and I might have actually been thinking of Ty Herndon.
Yes.
Is an mostly out country artist.
Moving on to category number 2, Fight for Your Right. This New York-based media company, known for its LGBTQ plus inclusive staff, came under harsh criticism in January of 2019 with layoffs and many cases of unpaid contributors. Their employees staged walkouts and negotiated with company leaders for months until July 2019, when the company officially recognized the employee union.
So you said they're New York-based and they're known for their inclusive staff?
Yes.
All right, we're going to lock in.
All right. Shaun and Fred, you can talk out loud.
We've come to the conclusion that a bunch of media companies have had unionization efforts recently.
Some of which went badly.
Yes. My first thought was Vox, and then I thought BuzzFeed, and they feel like more obviously inclusive to me, but I'm also more familiar with them.
Right. Okay.
So,
And I know Gawker, or the artist formerly known as Gawker, had a lovely labor-related meltdown recently.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that was.
Mhm. Sorry, it's GGO, I think it is now.
Yeah, or the GMG. They went through about 4 name changes, I think,
for
in the
real?
span of about 2 weeks.
Univision owned them for a few minutes, too.
Yeah. And didn't the Tribune Group own them for about 5 seconds?
I think that was a different one, but yeah, it's like the list is just nuts.
Yeah.
BuzzFeed does sound right. So
Okay. I'm
let's
happy to go with that.
BuzzFeed. Yeah.
All right, we'll lock BuzzFeed in then.
All right. Liz and David?
So we weren't 100% sure. As a New Yorker, I'm a little embarrassed, but to hear New York-based publication and that the staff was inclusive, but it wasn't necessarily a gay publication like Out or something, we said the Village. We locked in with the Village Voice.
So the company I'm looking for is based out of New York, but probably a lot of people are familiar with their Los Angeles office. I am looking for BuzzFeed.
Nice.
Ooh.
Last category in the round. Go Tell It on the Mountain. This author was born in Harlem in 1924 and immigrated to France when he was in his 20s. Many of his works were influenced by his life as a black man, such as If Bill Street Could Talk and The Fire Next Time, but also how it intersected with him as a gay man with Another Country and Giovanni's Room. Who am I talking about?
We're locked in.
Oh,
Yeah, this is
we're
James
locked
Baldwin.
in.
Oh,
We're
everyone's locked in. Awesome. All right. Well, David and Liz,
3, 2,
we'll start
1.
with you.
3, 2, 1.
James
James
Baldwin.
Baldwin.
Yep, it is absolutely James Baldwin. Awesome. At the end of the first round, Liz and David are in the lead with 30, and Fred and Shaun have 20.
Good job, teams.
Yes.
Yeah, nicely done.
Round 2, first category is Leading the Charge. Patrice Kahn Cullors is a black queer activist who released a memoir called When They Call You a Terrorist in 2018. This work documents her journey as a black queer woman growing up in Los Angeles and the founding of a movement with 2 other black women, Alicia Garza and Opal Tometi. What is this movement born out of the injustice of the Trayvon Martin case?
And we're locked in.
I think we're on the same page, right?
Yeah, so the first thing that we thought of was the Black Lives Matter movement, but we're trying to figure out if there's any other movements or things we could think of that might also be it, but we're deciding whether or not to Occam's razor it or not.
Yeah, like my only thing is like, oh, is that just like too obvious?
Yeah.
Like, and there's a slightly less famous thing that I'll recognize when Carmela says it.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to Occam's razor this.
I also agree. I think it's relevant and it makes sense. So
Yeah, Black Lives Matter.
We also said
We
Black
went
Lives
with
Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
All right, absolutely. I meant what I said. When black queer women lead the way, this is Black Lives Matter. So everybody got that right.
Okay.
and are precious and are important
Yes, absolutely.
In a big way.
and are
Yes.
beautiful.
Next category. I could be your hero.
Yes, baby.
Kate Kane, the alter ego of Batwoman, has been canonically a lesbian since 2006. She received her own TV series in 2019 on the CW as part of the Arrowverse. Who is the actress that portrays Kane in this series?
Yes.
We're locked in.
Okay. Shaun and
Yeah,
Fred, you can talk out loud.
Yeah, that's right. That was one of those. I know this, but when you said Ruby Rose, that's exactly right. So we'll lock in with Ruby Rose.
Yeah, we said the same thing. Though I said, though she just quit, and David
Right.
said, or did she? Oh, you said, oh, did she? I think there's sort of a kind of a question of, was it a quit firing or a fire quit, or so she's no longer going to be Batwoman. But yeah, that's who it is as of the moment.
And yet this show hasn't been canceled, so we'll see what they do with that.
Right.
I just love how Ruby Rose makes me question my sexuality.
Yeah, that's how it should
And-
work. I think Ruby
and-
Rose. Is-
Yeah, that's a good thing.
yeah.
I think everyone should, at some point in their lives, ask that question.
Yeah.
I know I did.
Am I
Anyway,
Ruby Rose is sexual? The answer is yes.
yes, it is Australian gender fluid actress Ruby Rose. She actually, I think, I don't know if it was a quit or firing situation either, but I do know that she had to have surgery on her back because of her doing her stunts all the time. She was at risk of paralyzing herself.
Yeah.
Doing your own stunts, stunt people, they do a lot of brutal work.
Yeah.
So
I don't want to besmear Ruby Rose, to borrow a term from misinformation. I think it is. I think we know that Ruby Rose quit, and just the exact reasoning is people are speculating about.
Right.
Like if, but yeah, I think that's the case. So
yeah. All right. Your last category in the round is Know Your Herstory. The Stonewall Riot is marked as the beginning of the LGBT liberation movement in the United States, but it is not the first time trans people stood up and fought for their right. The Compton Cafeteria Riot happened in 1966 as a result of the constant harassment of trans women in the restaurant. In what California city did this occur?
we're locked in.
We've
All right.
mind-melded.
I just read about this and I am blanking. Oh, yeah, that sounds right.
Yep.
We will lock in with San Francisco.
All right. David and Liz?
Yep, we were along the same lines,
Right.
and we went straight with San Francisco.
Yep, absolutely. It was San Francisco. It was the start of the trans movement in that city. Apparently, trans people would hang out at Compton's cafeteria because they weren't really welcomed in gay bars because of transphobia. And then they were constantly harassed while they were there, to the point where they would call the cops on them all the time because cross-dressing was illegal at that point. And then finally they had enough and they fought back and were breaking stuff. And that's really what kicked that off in San Francisco. So at the end of the second round, we are tied 50-50. Moving into round three. First category in round three is No Good Deed Goes Unpunished. Alan Turing was a World War II codebreaker, a gifted mathematician, and the father of computer science and artificial intelligence. In 1952, he was convicted of homosexual acts and was chemically castrated as an alternative to prison. He committed suicide 2 years later. In 2013, the leader of this country pardoned him posthumously.
We're locked in,
Okay.
I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, unless this is a trick and also some country other than the UK pardoned him for some reason. Like, I know the UK pardoned him posthumously in the last few years, and that's who killed him. So
Yeah.
And we went with the UK, too.
Yep. Queen Elizabeth pardoned him Queen Elizabeth II pardoned him in 2013. It was indeed the United Kingdom. And in 2017, as a result of that posthumous pardoning, they ended up passing an act known as the Alan Turing Law that ended up pardoning thousands of people who were convicted of homosexuality throughout the 18th and 19th century. So
now I had it wrong. I thought he killed himself to avoid being chemically castrated. I had not realized.
No,
I think
the
I just thought-
castration. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's good to learn.
yeah, he did that.
It did actually happen.
Yeah, he did it to avoid going to prison. So they're like, you can go to prison or you can be chemically castrated. So he is significant in the world of computer science and artificial intelligence. And he unfortunately met a very, very unhappy and sad end.
And I remind people with a certain slant that you were able to rant because of a gay man.
Yes, absolutely.
Or at least
So
rant
you know.
where you rant.
Your next category is On Her Own Terms. Earlier this year, influential Dutch YouTuber Nikki Tutorials was threatened with blackmail in regards to her trans identity. Instead, she took back her power and came out to the world as a trans woman. Nikki gained popularity in 2015 with her video, with what video that showed exactly what makeup could do.
So you're looking for the name of a video?
Yeah.
And it's Nikki Tutorials?
Yes.
What makeup can do?
Mm-hmm. It was a viral video in 2015. It was shared in a lot of places.
I keep thinking of a different video, and it's not like helping at all.
Same.
If the men find out we can do this,
That's what I was thinking.
Word.
You cannot let them know that we need oxygen. I do love that video.
that's what I'm talking about right now. Is that video?
Please.
David, yeah, that's what it is. She also does. That's why I mentioned the makeup for Slytherin's thing.
Oh,
That's the same
Oh
person.
dear.
Yeah, let's just go with. You want to go with that?
The one you said?
Even though it's wrong, yeah.
Damn.
Or is that the video that we're now talking about?
No, because
Okay.
I don't believe she's trans.
Yeah, let's go with the one that you know exists versus the one I made up.
Sounds good.
I think.
And then I'm gonna watch it for an hour.
Yikes. We've just
Yeah.
we've been vague as it gets.
Yeah, I am familiar with Nikki from her appearance on Vias the Mole, which does not help with the answer to this question. And so, the only video I've seen of hers is the coming out video. Unfortunately, makeup YouTube has never really grabbed me, and I'm sure I've heard of this. Like, I'm sure it's been around, but I can't come up with anything remotely specific enough to answer.
Same here. I mean, I've heard the name, and I've probably seen a snippet of the coming out video, and that's really all I've got. And the thing is, we kind of threw around a transformation, but I'm thinking possibly the wrong gender representation.
Yeah.
Once I typed the words, I said, so no.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is I'm like, any idea I come up with, I immediately go, I don't like that as an idea. I'm not sure if there's a way into it from where we are.
Even though it is just seems pitiful. You want to go with what I suggested?
I mean, I don't know.
Like I said, I know it's bad.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's better than nothing, but
I know.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to come up with anything better, and there's no reason to drag this out any longer than we've already done.
Yeah. Let's just suffer and lock in a transformation into Taylor Swift.
Okay, David and Liz.
Oh, we spent a lot of time trying to figure out what this could be, and so as a team, we have answered a really good answer for a different question. So, the entire time, I'm thinking of the woman who's contouring, and she goes like, "If the men find out we can shapeshift, they're going to call the church." And then Liz saved me and told me that was Sailor J, which is not who you're asking about, but we've locked in with Contouring 101.
Okay.
That is for women who want husbands. Contouring is for women who want to leech the souls of their dead lovers.
Contouring is very simple.
That's so bad.
The video I'm looking for here is called The Power of Makeup. It inspired several other YouTubers to do the same thing, where she had half her face, just her bare face, and then half with makeup to show exactly what you could do to transform yourself.
I totally have seen that.
Yeah. So Patrick Starr did it. I think Lady Gaga did it. So a lot of people ended up doing it. Nikki is pretty influential in the beauty guru world, but she's also a testament to what happens when you let people be who they are. Nikki began her transition in childhood and has lived as Nikki for most of her life. And she is an extremely successful woman. And I'm very proud that she was able to take back that power and not let someone blackmail her into revealing something that she shouldn't be ashamed of anyway. But that's what I have to say about that.
And that's that.
Right.
And also, everyone watch Sailor J videos if you haven't.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Watch that video is really good.
Sorry to take away from you, Nikki tutorials, but Sailor J, oh my gosh. Laugh forever.
Your last category in the round is, of course, an obligatory sports question.
Of course.
Obligatory sports.
The 2014 Winter Olympics was rife with controversy due to the host country's regressive stance on LGBTQ plus issues and people. LGBTQ plus symbols were banned, and the establishment of a pride house in the Olympic Village was blocked. What is this country which still oppresses the LGBTQ plus residents to this day?
Locked in.
That's Russia, yeah.
Locked in with Russia.
Yeah.
Yep. It was hosted in Sochi, which is indeed in Russia, which they are still. People are disappearing. People are being thrown in prison. It's a whole human rights issue.
Yeah.
At the end of the third round, we are still tied 70-70. Now we're at the midpoint.
Okay.
Almost halfway through this game. Your category for the midpoint is Love Wins. Marriage equality became the law of the land in the United States with the landmark civil rights case of United States versus Windsor in 2015. We still have a long way to go in securing marriage equality around the globe, but there are several countries that do have it. I'm going to give you 4 countries and 4 years. Match the country with the year that they passed marriage equality. So here are your countries: Argentina, Taiwan, France, the Netherlands. And here are your years: 2001, 2010, 2013, 2019.
Okay, we'll lock in.
So we've been having a very lengthy conversation on our side. We knew that the Netherlands was the earliest. I think it's the first one. So we said 2001 for that. And then we knew that Taiwan had recently just happened, so 2019. Right. So now we're kind of stuck between Argentina and France. And so we know that the UK and Ireland was like 2014, 2015. But I think, Liz, you want to talk about the Spain part?
Yeah, I know Spain. I remember Spain happened around 2008, 2009, maybe even a little earlier. I just remember posting about it on Facebook from my childhood bedroom in my parents' house one of the times I was back with them, so I knew it was not much later. It was noteworthy in part because it was like the simplest. They just changed the Constitution to be like man or woman. It wasn't even, it was like the most like ciscentric, obviously, but like the most no fuss, like simple, like, oh, we made an oversight and like gay marriage too, kind of legislative thing. And that made me think that France would have copied them sooner than Argentina would have. But yeah, like we discussed, not really, we don't know that much about French politics. Like I could see it, people arguing about it for a long time and like not doing it, like just saying like, oh, well, we'll get around to it. But yeah, I think we went, what was it? Netherlands, France, Argentina, Taiwan.
Okay.
I kind of started from the end because I knew Taiwan was the most recent. And I also remember first reading about Argentina doing it on Facebook. And I've been on Facebook since 2009 in some form. So I figure it's after 2009. Okay, fine. And then Netherlands and France, we just kind of just said, okay, just go on something. And we basically got Netherlands, France, Argentina, Taiwan in that order. Right.
In order, in 2001, the Netherlands passed marriage equality. Argentina passed marriage equality in 2010. Nope. France passed it in 2013. And Taiwan is the most recent. They passed it in 2019.
It was on Facebook by then.
Yeah, it was. And so everyone got 2. So that's 10 points.
Crap.
Everyone. So coming out of the midpoint, it is 80 to 80. We are still tied up.
Keeping it tight, y'all. Keeping it tight.
Hello, everybody. This is Jonathan. That was the end of the first half. I hope everyone is enjoying our Pride Month episode. I know I enjoy it every year. And I want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Water Cooler Trivia. So Water Cooler Trivia is a weekly trivia contest. It's done for work teams or any group of people that want to sign up to play a weekly trivia game together. And now that a lot of us are in remote work situations, teams are looking for a new way to connect. And a weekly trivia contest is a great way to have a little fun and spark a little conversation. Water Cooler Trivia does just that for you. You can choose different difficulties. You can choose different categories. You can choose the timing as to what day the trivia happens. One of the cool things that Water Cooler Trivia has been adding are different features. So you don't just get a leaderboard now, but you get call-outs for the funniest wrong answer or oh-so-close answers. You can compete in teams as opposed to individuals if you want. So you can do a departmental game between finance and HR or IT versus product. Super easy to get started. It takes about 20 seconds. You'll just send the join link to your coworkers and they'll get signed up. Go to watercoolertrivia.com/warfare and you'll get 4 weeks completely free. No credit card required. That's watercoolertrivia.com/warfare. Give it a try and see if you like it. Highly recommended for any group of people, coworkers for sure, but also just friend groups to get together and play an online trivia game. By the way, really quick, there's a Slack app now, so if you don't want to deal with email, you can play the game and get your results and have a conversation about the results in Slack. Really cool. watercoolertrivia.com/warfare. All right, let's get on with the second half of today's game.
Your first category in round 4 is support systems are essential. What organization, founded in 1998, is focused on suicide prevention and assistance for LGBTQ plus youth?
We locked in?
Yep, we're locked in.
I'm locked in.
All right.
My first thought was the Trevor Project.
Let's lock it in.
Okay.
We
All right.
too locked in the Trevor Project.
It is the Trevor Project. So it came about because of a film being made called Trevor that dealt with a LGBTQ youth and attempted suicide. And the makers of the film were concerned that other people who identified with that might end up in that same situation. And they found that there were no suicide prevention lines specifically for that. So they started their own. And that's how the Trevor Project began in 1998.
Okay.
And they are still doing good work to this day.
Yay.
Your next category, Sister Outsider. Who was the influential activist and poet who described herself as Black, lesbian, mother, warrior, poet, who was prolific in her writings exploring feminism, disability, civil rights, and Black female identity?
Are we locked in?
We are, sorry.
I thought this sounded familiar, and then you gave a name, and the name didn't look familiar, and then I went, is this something where I just I'm familiar, I've heard of this and don't associate a name with it? Because that's entirely possible.
Yeah.
If you're confident,
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to go
Yeah,
there.
and just the reference before the question kind of helped me here. So we locked in with Audre Lorde.
All right.
Yeah, we also locked in with Audre Lorde.
Well, it's good that you picked up on that reference because Sister Outsider is a name of one of her collected works. This is Audre Lorde.
I'm currently actually sitting in the apartment of my neighbor who recently played Adrian Rich in a play about Audre Lorde.
Oh, wow.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Something that was, because I've read Audre Lorde's works, but when I was researching her for the question, she was married to a man for a while, and her husband was actually also gay. So they were two homosexual people married to each other in a heterosexual relationship.
Yeah, so I spent the entire time while Liz was answering the question trying to find a GIF of South Park Lord. Not helpful. Liz is answering it, and I'm just like, where's this GIF? I can't find it.
All right, your last category in the 4th round is Strike a Pose. Born William Roscoe Leake, who was the American dancer and choreographer, featured in Paris is Burning, known as the godfather of voguing.
We are locked in.
We're locked in.
All right.
Okay.
Well, whoever wants to answer first.
Okay. I went with, kind of going with Willie Ninja.
Okay.
So originally I was trying to figure out, because I've never seen Paris is Burning, but I'm trying to figure out like all the conversations my friends have had, and Liz came up with a great name, which was Liz.
Just I would have named myself Rococo.
Not what no. And then
Let's go out the middle name Roscoe. I would have.
I 100% agree. However,
That's not what we locked in.
But we ended up locking in with Willie Ninja.
Dang.
Yeah. And David
Bob.
spent that time trying to pull knowledge he definitely had, and I said it distracting him.
I do recommend watching Paris is Burning. It's a little over an hour long, so it's not too long.
Yeah.
And a lot of references that you hear now come out of that scene. Many. All the stuff you hear on Drag Race, a lot of stuff you hear on all other things. A lot of it comes from that culture. So I do recommend watching it. I like to watch it when I'm sad, and it makes me feel a little better.
I think I first really became aware of it in the context of people talking about how the director had maybe exploited the people in the documentary. And then I was
that's still a conversation.
Do I see it?
It is.
No, and that kind of just made me. It bumped it down the list, which is silly, and I should just watch it.
I could listen to Dorian.
She won't get money from me watching it
for the
right
rest
now.
of my life. I really
Word. word.
I could just listen to her be shady for the rest of my life. But yes, this is indeed Father of the House of Ninja, Willie Ninja.
Nice.
Yeah, and I just
Good job, David.
if you know any of you have ever watched Pose, there are plots that kind of sound lifted wholesale from Paris is Burning.
Yep. Well, it's influential in many, many ways. That is the end of the fourth round. We are, if you can believe it, still tied. It is 110 to 110.
Someone balanced these teams too well.
I guess so. Your first category in round 5 is We Are the Crystal Gems.
Yes.
Steven
Okay.
Universe is a cartoon about the adventures of Steven and his guardians, the Crystal Gems. One of the gems, Garnet, lives their life as a fusion of what two other gems?
Locked in.
So locked in.
Okay, so this is a show I've been meaning to watch for forever and have not actually done.
Damn. Same here.
It's so good with world building too. Like
Yeah.
the way it dispenses information. My partner curated it the first season for me a little bit. It's like you can skip a couple of episodes and go back later, but it's so beautiful. Sorry.
Yeah, I have no reason to believe that I'm not going to really like it. I'm not sure I'm going to have anything better than just picking 2 gemstones, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'd be grasping too.
Do you know your birthstone? Do we want to just pick a couple of birthstones?
Yeah.
Mine-
Yes.
Topaz, if we want to go with that as one of them.
Yes. Because it's
Yeah.
kind of been on the tip of my tongue for
Okay.
a minute now.
And I pick another one.
Let's just go Ruby.
All right, we'll go with those 2 then.
All right.
So close. It's Ruby and
We-
Sapphire.
We both need to. Oh darn! And that's the
Yeah.
other one I've typed.
Yeah.
The Sapphire.
Yeah.
Yep, it is Ruby and Sapphire. They had a big old wedding, which I thought was awesome.
That song. Okay, so already Stronger Than You, which is the song where we find out that she's a permafusion and she's like fighting a big bad who like doesn't believe in different kinds of gems fusing.
Right.
Which is a badass song called Stronger Than You. That was already in my head. But now, like, for Just One Day, Let's Only Think About Love is
Right.
much later on their wedding day is such a beautiful song.
Yeah,
Oh.
if you haven't watched it, like it got a lot of good critiques because like the art is fantastic,
Yeah.
the music is fantastic, and then it tackles, in my opinion, a lot of tougher conversations for kids who need to like understand and see what's going on. So it's fantastic.
And Rebecca Sugar is the one who is in charge of the show, and they've always been pretty good about getting that information in a consumable way,
Yeah.
which I find very, very awesome. So, but yes, that is Ruby and Sapphire.
And there
Okay.
are parts like sometimes you'll be watching and something will happen and be like, they're talking about this like it's a happy ending, and actually I feel like it's kind of problematic. For
Yeah.
that reason. And then like a season later they'll come back to it and be like,
Yeah.
hey, we just realized we
They're
didn't
like,
treat
"Hey."
that person well. Like we should like undo that.
Like, how are you doing, really? You know?
Yeah.
For the Disney fans, the
Business.
woman who plays Megara, Susan Egan, plays Rose Quartz. So
Yeah.
Whoa.
voices her. Yeah.
No.
There's so
Oh,
many
yeah.
crazy guest voices like
Yeah.
Nicki Minaj and Patti LuPone. From Nicki Minaj to Patti LuPone. I
Yeah.
would say
Yikes.
the spectrum.
Well, all right.
Yeah.
All
But
right.
Nicki
You're
Minaj does not sing. I think they probably could not afford.
No,
time.
she played Sardonyx.
No,
I think.
the
No.
other the Garnet Amethyst fusion.
Ah, that's
Whose
right.
name I forget now.
Yeah, I thought it was Sardonyx.
Sardonyx is the Garnet Pearl fusion.
Gotcha. Your next category is in defense of bird watching.
Oh,
Christian Cooper made headlines recently as part of a racially charged incident with Amy Cooper, no relation, in Central Park. Christian was there bird watching and is an avid bird watcher. But what you may not realize about Christian is that he was the first openly gay writer and created the first openly lesbian character for what comic book publisher?
reluctant.
So, your first initial thought was DC, which makes sense. I figure it's probably one of the big 2, but which? I'm not
Yeah.
sure I've heard this part of the story. So,
Yeah, I had, but I didn't remember the publisher. That was the thing.
right.
So like that was just like the quickest guess of the 2. But you made a good point. You also made a good DC-related point.
I mean, is it really a good point? I used the meta reasoning of you already asked a DC question, so I'm wondering if you would ask a second DC question.
Yeah.
You made reference to it in a previous question, but I don't like metaing that. That doesn't feel like strong enough evidence to go the other way if you feel like you've heard that. So I'm happy to go with DC.
Okay. Same. Yeah, we're locked in.
All right.
So Liz had an answer right away, and I kind of maybe derailed her a bit. On my end, what I remember from the article is that he was the first one to create the first openly gay Star Trek character, Yoshi something, and I couldn't think of who owned that. But Liz had a better feeling about the other one.
I was immediately like, Marvel, 100%. And then I was like, wait, am I just thinking that because like people would write it in like the same sentence as he went to Harvard, and those are similar sounding words?
Okay.
So was I just like Harvard Marvel? But we did lock in with Marvel.
All right. He also did create the first canonically gay character in the Star Trek universe in comics there. So that is correct. But the character he created was in 1992 was Victoria Montesi, who was part of the Ghost Rider storylines, which would make it Marvel. He was a writer for Marvel.
Okay.
Yeah. He was also an assistant editor for, I believe it's Alpha Flight is the name of the Alliance, but that's where North Star is, and North Star is also known for being openly gay. Right. So he had influences all around that space. I remember him for more than just being the Birdwatcher guy.
Yeah.
All right. Your last category in the round is Bicons. Alan Cumming is an accomplished actor, singer, and writer, publishing his autobiography, Not My Father's Son, in 2014. He won a Tony Award in 1998 for his role in what musical?
Yeah, we're locked in.
I don't know if...
You said 98?
Yeah, 98.
Oh, I was looking at our earlier conversation, so I was down when I was waiting for you. I was like, oh, she already wrote it. Never mind.
Sean, how do you feel about...
Cabaret was the first thing that popped into my head, too. And I second-guessed myself a little, but seeing that you wrote it immediately makes me think that that's probably right. So
yeah, I think we're locked in. We're locked in with that.
All right.
Yeah, Cabaret. That's how I learned who Alan Cumming was. He still is the MC to me.
Yes, and my life was never the same after that. Willkommen. He was the master of ceremonies in Cabaret.
I still don't even remember if I actually saw him. Like, I saw that production, and I have no idea if I saw a replacement, because it was definitely further down. My mom probably still has the playbill somewhere.
Alan Cumming's actually written a few books. Not My Father's Son was really good. He wrote a kind of a semi-autobiographical fiction book called Tommy's Tale, which was... which was kind of a fun book, and it explored that kind of balance or kind of tug and war that some bisexual people feel. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So, but his books are good. He's an awesome person. He's a good actor. I love him.
Did you put this after the Marvel question because he was Nightcrawler?
No, but I did notice that after I read it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. He was Nightcrawler too.
I mean, a lot of people have been in Marvel movies at this point. So
yeah, that
wasn't even technically MCU. So
right, yeah, that was the X-Men.
Yeah.
So after round 5, Liz and David are in the lead. The tie is broken with 140 to Fred and Shaun's 120.
Wow.
Yikes.
All right, your first category in round 6. Category is the Queen. Krista LaBeija, founder of the House of LaBeija, is often credited with starting house culture in the ball scene. She often competed in drag pageants and criticized balls in the 1960s for their racism, as seen in the documentary The Queen. This caused her and Lottie LaBeija to start their own ball for Black queens and performers. Her legacy lives on, and she was even portrayed in Snatch Game on RuPaul's Drag Race by what queen?
That's what I was gonna say.
Let's do it. We're locked in.
Yeah,
have fun with that.
Unfortunately, I am not a Drag Race girl, so
I have been a Drag Race stan. I don't even think I might not have watched this season, though. I have since seen The Queen and was just like, it blew my mind.
Yeah, a lot of things that you, again, like Paris is Burning, a lot of the stuff that you hear comes from that. So, like, a lot of things like, Sue the Bitch or whatever, that's all Crystal LaBeija. So, it's a very influential piece.
and I'll lock in with Peppermint.
All right.
Works for me.
We have not locked in yet, so.
Oh.
I thought
Dang!
you did.
I thought they had too.
Really? Same here. No. Really? Have at it.
I don't know what I heard that made me think that you would lock in, but fair.
No,
I said David typed in the name that I was.
I did say we locked in.
Oh, you did? Okay, then we were
I'm
locked
sorry.
in.
Okay. So we locked in with Shangela because she's out the box with Shangela. However, I do wonder, and this is kind of what prompted Liz to think that we hadn't locked in, is that I did text right afterwards saying, I wonder actually if it's Kennedy Davenport, who's like a true pageant queen.
I just didn't hear you say we were locked in.
Sorry, that's totally on me. My bad. I should be more
clear. I was barely paying attention because I believed I had nothing to contribute. So apologies all.
No, that's on me. Yeah, so we locked in with Shangela, although if it's Kennedy Davenport, I may slap myself.
Well, you don't have to slap yourself because it's not Kennedy Davenport. But it is not Shangela or Peppermint either. It was on a season that had Shangela, All Stars 3. It was Aja who played Crystal LaBeija on Snatch Game.
Don't
All Stars 3.
Is.
Dang. Which I did watch and was actually a really good season.
Yeah, I enjoyed this season.
I stopped watching in season 3, the Raja season. And I feel like most of the names I've heard since then are of people who are not black. So I was like,
Aja is a person of color.
Yes.
Yeah. I was going to say who are white, but I don't. That everyone I've heard of is white, but I actually don't know that.
Yeah. Peppermint is actually the first competitor who had come out as trans prior to even coming on the show. She was already out. She was already living her life as a trans woman. And it was the first time that had happened. There are people who have come out on the show or came out after, but Peppermint was the first one who was already living her best life when she came on. So
all I know about Peppermint, and she's part of that song that's really good. The category is a
category is?
Yeah. So good.
What category are we on right now?
So good. Oh my God, it just slaps. Come on.
All right. Your next category is I Want the World to Know. This recording artist had a big year in 2019, breaking records and gaining fame. On the last day of Pride Month, he came out as gay. Who am I talking about? And I mean Pride Month of last year, 2019.
Are we locked in, though?
No. Yes, we are locked in.
Better feeling.
Let's make sure this time.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
If you want to, Shaun, we can be locked in.
All right. I'm happy with that answer.
Yeah, with Lil Nas X.
All right.
Yeah, so this kind of was part of the conversation, the Orville Peck conversation originally, where Liz was like, it's definitely not Lil Nas X, and I was like, I wonder if we're gonna have one of those questions.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't say it aloud.
Well, and then I was about to be like enraged because I know that he had said on Twitter or whatever that he actually wasn't gay, and then I found out that that's like an April Fool's joke. So, thank God. I was real upset that we had a question about him. Or if not, I'm fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't say aloud earlier. The only gay country artist I can think of is Lil Nas X, which whether or not he's a country artist, I guess is. 100%. I mean that song was 100% a country song. I don't know. And the world is ridiculous, but that's how much I know about country. Is that he's the first country artist.
So you said Lil Nas X as well?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yes.
Well, that's absolutely correct. It is Lil Nas X.
Okay.
He broke records. He was at number 1 on the Billboard charts forever. And country stations kind of flipped their shit that they're like, oh, we're going to put a black homosexual person on our radio stations. And which I think is ridiculous. Because both black and gay artists have been part of the country scene since it existed. You have things like Lavender Country, and there have been plenty of black artists in the country scene. So people just need
the CMA wouldn't consider Daddy Lessons a country song,
right?
Made like that.
Yeah, Dixie Chicks and Beyonce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or actually, well, no, the recording is
her,
just Beyonce, which was
Beyonce.
which is the song that I most recommend to people as an excuse to listen to Lemonade in full.
Yeah.
It's so good. And like the Dixie Chicks performed it with her, I think, to sort of be like, no, seriously, everyone, this is the countryest of country songs.
And social media still went bay-listed.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It was a whole thing. So, but I'm glad that people are kind of coming around to, just because we think of something a certain way doesn't necessarily mean it has to be that way all the time.
Right.
And I feel like America voted with their dollars on that one. Like, even if the gatekeepers
absolutely
stayed keeping those gates.
Listen to the 7 EP, listen to Pony. Both of those albums are great.
I love it.
Last category in round 6 is fashionista. Billy Porter is known for the looks he serves on the red carpet, challenging and blurring gender lines. He flashed his disco-inspired Michael Kors look for the 2019 Emmys, where he clinched the award for Outstanding Male Lead in a Drama as Pray Tell in what show?
I guess we're locked in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we both were like, obviously Pose, but didn't Carmela mention Pose when we were talking about like Willy Ninja and everything else? Like,
No, so I think
did
Fred
we mention it?
I did.
Fred did.
I did.
Oh, you
Fred
helped
mentioned it.
No, Fred.
Thank you.
Fred
All
did.
right,
Wow.
So so the only two things that I know specifically Billy Porter was in heavily right would be Pose, and then the other one would be American Horror Story when he was in the one about the bunker.
See, I knew there was something else. Was that a lead?
Not a lead, not at all.
Carmela,
No.
you said lead. What
I
was
did
the
say
award?
lead.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I didn't hear that. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Then Pose, right?
I have not seen Pose, so yes. I know he's a lead. Great.
Yeah. We're locked in with Pose.
All right.
We also locked in with Pose.
In my opinion, the best show that Ryan Murphy had ever had a hand in, it is Pose.
And you
I
could
like
put
how
that,
you made us worry for a second.
and you could put that on Our Lady J and Janet Mock. And Stephen Canals as to why it is that good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I say it's the best thing he's ever had a hand in because he, for once, passed the mic.
Yeah.
And you have people like Our Lady J and Janet Mock, who I adore. If you've never read either of Janet Mock's memoirs, Redefining Realness and Surpassing Certainty, highly recommend them. Her whole story is amazing. So if you've never read them, absolutely pick them up. Well, that is the end of round 6. Liz and David are still in the lead with 160, but Fred and Shaun are not that far behind with 140.
Whoa.
So we're going into the gauntlet with a pretty close game, and your gauntlet category is, we can't go through this whole episode without mentioning Drag Race again. No.
Of course not.
All right, our wager's locked in.
Our wager's locked in.
All right, cool. So wagers are locked in. Or your first question in the gauntlet. In 2017, RuPaul's Drag Race aired on VH1 for season 9. All previous seasons aired on what cable channel known for its LGBTQ plus focused content?
We're locked in. Right? Thumbs up?
Yes, thumbs up.
Locked in.
We're locked in.
All right. Your next question. Queens come and they go, but sometimes they come back again. Who was the first drag queen to compete on 3 different seasons of Drag Race?
Yeah, we're locked in.
Well, we're locked in.
Okay, cool. The last question in the gauntlet. The first season of Drag Race featured as one of its prizes a supply of makeup from what brand, which RuPaul previously had done ad campaigns for?
We're locked in.
All right, I think we're locked in.
Yeah, I think we're locked in.
So, in 2017, RuPaul's Drag Race aired on VH1 for the first time for season 9. All previous seasons aired on what cable channel known for its LGBTQ plus focused content? David and Liz.
We said Logo.
Fred and Shaun.
We went with Logo as well.
Queens come and they go, but sometimes they come back again. Who was the first drag queen to compete on 3 different seasons of Drag Race? Fred and Shaun.
We went with Shangela Laquifa Wadley.
All right. Liz and David.
Yeah, of the 3 seasons I watched, she was on 2 of them. I loved her. She was also on an episode of Community as a drag pop star called, I believe, Urbana Champagne.
That's a
We said
great name.
Shangela.
And finally, the first season of Drag Race, as one of its prizes, featured a supply of makeup from what brand? Which RuPaul had previously done an ad campaign for. David and Liz.
We turmoiled over this completely. So Liz has a ton of great options, and I just named the only one I've seen people get makeovers in the store with. So we ended up locking in with MAC makeup.
All right.
Oh, darn. Well, the first thing that jumped to mind was Mac. And I don't think it's the right answer all of a sudden. But we locked it in.
You locked in with Mac?
We're locked in with Mac.
All right. Well, for the first 8 seasons of RuPaul's Drag Race, it was indeed on Logo TV. Shangela was the first drag queen to compete on 3 seasons. She was on season 2, 3, and All Stars 3. Ever since then, there's been a few others that have been on 3 times. Latrice has been on 3 times. Manila Luzon's been on 3 times. But Shangela was the first. And RuPaul was the very first face of Viva Glam, which is the which is part of MAC Cosmetics. Viva Glam is Viva Glam is their that's their charity thing
or whatever.
So all the proceeds from their Viva line goes towards HIV and AIDS research.
Hallelujah.
So everybody got it right, which is awesome. So
because when I heard Nyx, I was like, ooh. But no, and that's I'll stick with us.
I said Nyx and David said Mac. It was like
Nyx has been a prize for a season. I think they were the prize for season 4 or something. All right. So everyone got it right, which is awesome. So we're gonna see what's going on with wagers. We're gonna start with Liz and David because they're in the lead. What did you guys wager?
Both Liz and I really hate wagering. If you've heard me on previous podcasts, I usually wager everything. We decided to try to be a little smarter this time. And so just to cover, we decided to wager 121 if they win.
Ouch.
1. So that is going to bring you up to 281.
Yep. We figured there was nothing we could do about that cover, so we were worried about the covering a 0, and we wagered 30.
Which for me, given anybody who's ever seen my Jeopardy episodes, is aggressive. I don't know how I won.
That will
4
bring
times.
you to 170, which is not quite enough. So that means the winner of this year's Pride episode does go to Liz and David. Congratulations.
Congratulations, guys.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Good people.
But
I'm going to sashay away just because that's how I walk.
Yeah, I mean, I just sashay in general.
Yeah, I sashayed here.
I'm telling you, I was very worried because my LGBTQIA history is so bad.
I do hope that was enjoyable for everyone out there as well, and I hope that you all learned something because there's plenty of history, and we're everywhere, so get used to it. All right. Well, we do like to let everyone do shout outs or promote any causes that you believe in. So we will go ahead and we will do that now. Liz, let's go ahead and start with you.
Just a reminder that the queer rights we have because of rebellion that lasted multiple days. And as is often the story of civil rights in America, the more mainstream queer people who ostracized less mainstream queer people, they owe their rights to the people they ostracized. It was people of color. It was non-gender conforming, whether they identified as transvestite or transgender. The people who weren't allowed into a lot of the gay bars lit it up and got us most of the rights we have now, which are under attack. And just always remember to apply those lessons to what's going on right now, and don't get hung up on respectability politics. No one gave anyone their rights because they asked super nicely. So be gay, do crime.
Thank you. Fred?
And Black Lives Matter, as we've
Oh,
said.
absolutely.
Well, yes, and we're in just the most interesting of times. Take it from your friend who turns 50 this year. It's an interesting time. And I know other people in the past have kind of mentioned, charities and other organizations, and I would normally mention a totally different one, but for this episode, I really have to kind of mention the LGBTQ Freedom Fund at lgbtqfund.org. They basically take will take donations to post bail and bond for folks in jails and in immigration facilities who are queer, transgender, non-gender conforming folks. They've and that's the thing. I mean, bail. Everybody kind of, it's kind of an important thing simply because because you can't always afford it, and if you want to get back to people who you love, who you work for, you want to be able to make the money, to kind of cover this, and sometimes you need a hand. That's just that simple.
Yes. Absolutely. Thank you. Shaun?
I second everything these folks have said. I'm not sure I can say it much better myself, so I'm going to just reiterate what they've said and yield my time.
All right. And David?
Aw, had a great time. Good questions. Great questions, Carmela. I learned a bunch. In general, I usually just say do a good deed, but it seems like we're in a tougher time right now. So I would just say check up on your friends of color and your friends who are along the spectrum of the LGBTQIA spectrum, and just check in on them and have a conversation with them, because right now everyone's yelling at each other, and sometimes I think some people want to have a conversation and just feel validated. Just take a second to just check up on them. So.
Absolutely. Typically, the hosts don't do any shout outs or causes, but today is going to be different. I have a few charities that I'm going to shout out here. The first I mentioned earlier as a question is the Trevor Project. The trevorproject.org. They do a lot of work with young LGBTQ individuals. They're some of the most vulnerable people, and sometimes they need that support system because they don't get it elsewhere. So if you feel any strongly about that cause, I do recommend donating to the Trevor Project. The day that we're recording this, June 13th, yesterday, not only was the anniversary of the Pulse Massacre in Orlando, but Health and Human Services has reversed protections against discrimination for trans and gender nonconforming people as far as their health care and their health insurance. So I'm going to shout out the Sylvia Rivera Law Project. They are based out of New York, but they do a lot of work with trans and gender nonconforming individuals to help them get services that they need. And I think we're going to need them now more than ever. If you have been going to any of the Liquid Courage streams, that Jason has been shouting them out all month, but that is srlp.org. And the last one I'm going to shout out because we still have a lot of work to do when it comes to racial justice. And I know sometimes people don't want to hear that. Either they don't believe it or they come to these kind of places for escape. And I totally get that. But at the same time, that's not an option for everybody. And it's a point of privilege to be able to come and escape from something. But it just is a reminder for places that there are people that can't do that. So I also want to shout out the Equal Justice Initiative. They do a lot of work around racial justice. And again, we need them now more than ever. So if you feel strongly about any of those causes, I recommend checking out any of those organizations and also any of the organizations that the guests mentioned today. But I'm really glad we got to do this again. I can't wait to do it again. Happy Pride. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Woo woo.
I love y'all.
Happy Pride.
I love all of you out there. So let's go forward with love and kindness, and I will see you all again next time. So for David, for Liz, for Shaun, and for Fred, this is Carmela with Trivial Warfare, where it's not just trivia, it's a loving community. Bye, guys.
Oh, that was good. I like that.